A B&O speaker can cost 5 times what a competitor charges for the same drivers, the same amp topology, arguably the same sound. So either 500,000 audiophiles have been conned for half a century, or there's something going on here that spec sheets don't capture. Let's find out which. And guys, welcome back to The Real Spot. 925 Sture, Denmark. Not exactly the tech capital of Europe. Two guys, Peter Bang and Fen Olsen, knew each other from technical school and were obsessed with the same new toy, radio. But not just any radio. Almost every set in 1925 ran on batteries, which meant hissing, fading, and constant replacement. Bang & Olufsen wanted a radio that ran straight off the mains, AC power, no batteries. That was a technical bet the whole company was built on. They didn't have a lab, they had the attic of Sten's family home, a house called Quizdrop, just outside town. That's literally where B&O started. 2 engineers and an attic chasing a problem that bigger, better founded companies weren't solving yet. The mains powered radio worked, and it worked well, enough to launch the company as a real commercial player through the late 1920s and into the 1930s. That's not a small thing, going from attic prototype to a functioning manufacturer in a handful of years in a small Danish town with none of the industrial infrastructure of Berlin or London. Is the first sign that this company was going to punch above its geography. Then television arrives, and B&O moves into that too, riding the same instinct, get into the new consumer technology early and get the engineering right before worrying about scale. So far, this is just a solid Danish electronic company, nothing that screams luxury design icon yet. If you told someone in 1935 that this company's products would eventually sit in art museums, they had laughed. Here's the turn, 1960s and 70s. B&O started working with a designer named Jacob Jensen. And this is where the identity you actually recognize today gets built. Clean aluminium, minimalist lines, turntables and receivers that looked like they belonged in a museum. And some of them literally ended up in one at MoMA. While Japanese manufacturers were racing on feature counts, more knobs, more inputs, more numbers on a spec sheet, and the most of Europe were competing on boxes full of switches, B&O went the opposite direction. Strip it down, make it beautiful, make the engineering invisible. Every unnecessary control gets removed. Every visible seam gets reconsidered. The idea wasn't how much can we cram in, it was how little can we show while it still works flawlessly. This is where the controversy starts. It's never really stopped. Once you start selling design as much as sound, you invite the question every audiophile forum asks eventually. Am I paying for acoustics, or am I paying for a name and a shape? Let me know in the comments. Here's why that question has teeth. Strip the badge off a B&O speaker and put a competitor's badge on the drivers with similar specs at a third of the price, and plenty of blind test discussions online will tell you the gap isn't as dramatic as the price tag suggests. That doesn't mean B&O gear sounds bad, far from it. It means the premium isn't purely an acoustic engineering premium. Some of it is industrial design, some of it's the brand, some of it is the fact that a BO Lav speaker functions as a piece of furniture you're proud to have visually in your living room, not hidden behind a cabinet door. Whether that's worth it is a generally different question for a design collector than it is for someone who just wants the most accurate frequency response per dollar. B&O has spent decades needing to prove it's not just selling the second one. Because being a design darling doesn't protect you from being a business. Japanese electronic giants undercut hard on price through the 70s and 80s, offering comparable, sometimes superior technical performance for a fraction of the cost. Global downturns hit hard more than once. There were real restructurings, real financial strain moments where the whole premium over everything bet looked shaky enough that outside observers wondered if the company would survive as an independent brand at all. And through all of it, B&O never chased the race to the bottom of the price, never pivoted to budget lines, never tried to outspec the competition on paper, which is either the most respectable decision in consumer electronics history or the most stubborn one, depending on who you ask. And depending on which decade you're asking about, there were points where staying premium wasn't obviously the smart business call. It was a bet on identity over short-term survival, made repeatedly by a company that could have taken the easier road more than once. 100 years later, B&O is still headquartered in Stuart. Same small town, same attic adjacent origin story, now producing speakers and headphones that sit at the very top of the price ladder in consumer audio. That consistency is rare. Most companies that reach this kind of global luxury status get absorbed, relocated, or hollowed out along the way. B&O, for better or for worse, has stayed itself. And the same question that started with two engineers trying to solve a battery problem in an attic is still the question now. Just wearing a different outfit. Is exceptional design worth what B&O charges for it? Or are you buying the story as much as the sound? 100 years in, that's still not a settled argument. And honestly, that's probably part of why the brand still gets talked about today. Here's where I land on it. B&O never claimed to be selling you the cheapest way to hear a song. Accurately, they claim to be selling you the best looking way to hear one. And for hundreds of years, even people have argued with them to keep the lights on in Stuart. That's not a scam, that's just a different question than the one most of this channel usually asks. Worth knowing which question you actually answer before you spend the money. We're done, but thanks for watching The Real Spot. And please like and subscribe, and tell a friend about The Real Spot. Bye for now.
Welcome to The Real Spot, where the real was taught. Hit play, lean back.